that one line can actually make all the difference for your book. Hey guys, hi. If you're new here, hey, welcome. My name is Priscilla Savage. I'm your host, and I'm an indie author, an editor, and a ghost writer. And right now, currently, I have 5 books out on Amazon, 6 in total. One is published on my website, my personal website, and I'm currently working on my 7th and my 8th book. I write romance fiction, paranormal romance, forbidden romance, all things romance mostly. So welcome to my channel. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. It means so much to me that you're continuing to support this channel. I appreciate you. So guys, we're going to be talking about how to increase your book sales, or how to sell your books or get more downloads more effectively, and how to create the perfect book blurb that sells. Okay. Now, before I go on, I just want to mention that and add that I've been doing this. I've been writing for a long time. For those who don't know, I've been writing for over 15 years. And I really started taking publishing seriously about 2 years ago. And, right now, and it's just really been an adventure. And not only that, I've also been able to help other people, other authors publish their books, do some editing as well, and offer manuscript critique. And we can get into that later on. A few of other authors that I've worked with have actually gone to become Amazon bestsellers. And so that's something that I do not take lightly. That's something that I really like sharing with people, because, I want to let them know that if they can do it, if I can do it, you can do it as well. And I can help you do that as well. Okay, now let's get into this video. When it comes to writing book blurbs, when it comes to writing book descriptions, it's very important that you draft and you craft your book blurb in such a way that it entices the reader to want to buy your book. Think about it this way, right? Like someone goes on Amazon, or a potential reader goes on Amazon, and maybe maybe you're a romance writer, right? Or a romance author, and this reader likes romance, right? And they're looking for, a great and nice, romance book to read, and they're on Amazon. Your book is not the only romance book out there, right? That's just the truth. There's millions and millions of books on Amazon, right? And so, I'm not going to be talking about keywords and categories and things like that in this video. I'm definitely going to be doing another video where I go more specifically into those things, and book covers and things like that, right? There are a lot of things that can influence your book sales, right? That's just the truth. But I want to really target the book blurb, because that's something that once your reader, a potential reader, goes to the products page of your book, right? They see the book cover, which has to be good. They see the book cover, right? It checks out. They're like, okay, oh, they're curious, right? And so they click on that book and they go to the book's product page, right? And they're scrolling and scrolling, and they get to the description of the book, right? And they're reading the description. What do you want them to see as they're reading the description of your book? What do you want them to see, right? Now, I want you to think about the book blurb in 2 different ways. One as a reader, and another one as a writer, okay? So think of it as a reader and as a writer. We're going to address these 2 categories. As a reader, think about, put yourself in the reader's shoes, right? You're going on Amazon, you want to read this romance book, you're looking for a great romance story, you see this cover, you like what you see, you click on it, and everything kind of checks out, and you get to the description. What do you want to see, right? So you as a writer, putting yourself as, in the mind of a reader, what do you want your reader to see, right? As a reader, right? What do you want your reader to see when you're looking at your description? You want to make sure your description is very interesting and captivating enough that it'll make them to scroll down a little further and download your book or buy your book, right? So think of it as a reader. Now, another way that you want to think about writing a book blurb is as a writer, okay? And to think of it as a writer, think of a log line, right? What is a log line? A log line is a 1 to 2 sentence summary of your story, right? It brings together the stakes. It brings together, it encapsulates the protagonist. It encapsulates the stakes. It encapsulates the stakes of the story, the conflicts, the end result of your story. So it puts everything together in this one sentence or two sentences of your book. Now that sounds kind of hard when you think about it, but it's really not that hard. And I'll show you in a minute. I'm gonna show you how you can create a log line and eventually use that log line to create a blurb for your story. Okay, so a log line is a one sentence or two sentence summary of your book, but it covers the conflict of your book, the stakes of your book, the protagonist, and also the end results, right, of your book. Now, the log line is not for your reader. Make no mistake, the log line is just something that you as a writer wants to keep in mind as you're writing, as you're crafting your book blurb or your book description. Okay, so it's not for your reader. It is for you as a writer to keep in mind, to have that in front of you as you're crafting your blurb. Okay, now a log line, with the definition that I've just given, a log line could be something like, for example, Henry, the Crown Prince of Camelot, has to face his uncle in a one-on-one battle in order to ascend the throne. Okay, I'll say that again. Henry, the Crown Prince of Camelot, has to face his uncle in a one-on-one battle in order to ascend the throne. Okay, now from this line, this is a one line, right? From this line, we can deduce that Henry is the protagonist, right? Obviously, the uncle is going to be the antagonist, but Henry is the protagonist, right? The stakes there and the conflict there is that he has to face his uncle in order to ascend the throne, which is the end result. This guy, this prince, wants to ascend the throne. Okay, so for a log line, have the protagonist, have the conflict and the stakes, and then have the end result. Okay, now keep that in mind as you're crafting your blurb, because your log line is going to help you craft your blurb, which is just going a little bit further, okay, from the log line, okay, to write your blurb or your description. Now, before I give you an example of how to use this log line to create your blurb, I want to mention that I have a free download that you can get, a free download of checklist for writing and publishing your book. So it's a checklist download for writing and publishing your book. So if you want that free download, you can check the description section below and get your free download, okay? Or you can just comment down below, checklist please, and I will send you the direct link where you can go download this free checklist for writing and publishing your book. Okay, so let's continue. Guys, I have my note here, if I'm looking in this direction. So let's talk about the book blurb. How can you use this log line, right, to create a book blurb? Okay, so remember the log line that I gave a few seconds ago was Henry, the Crown Prince of Camelot, has to face his uncle in a one-on-one battle in order to ascend the throne. It's pretty kind of simple, right? This guy has to deal with his uncle before he becomes king, right? That's pretty much the gist of it. Now, how can we use that log line to create a blurb? And mind you, this works for pretty much any genre. Works for romance, thrillers, sci-fi, horror, whatever you can think of. Okay, it's the same thing. It's kind of like a formula. Okay, so from that log line, maybe our blurb can go something like, Prince Henry believes that he only has to conquer the loss of his father before ascending the throne until an opposition in the form of his uncle steps forward. Now that's kind of like the log line, but it's the beginning of the description. Okay, this is not a log line, this is the description. Okay, so you can start with something like that, and then you take it a step further, right? Prince Henry could not have been less prepared when he returned to the country on the news that his father, the king, had just passed. But when an old scroll is read at the funeral, Henry is faced with a much bigger opposition than an empty throne. Hyphen, his uncle. Add to that the mystery woman who seemed to grieve more than his mother and whose image stayed with him after the funeral, right? We're kind of expanding, we're kind of pulling out the layers, right, of this log line and spreading it out, right? Kind of going a little further, just kind of, describing a little bit further. We see Prince Henry, something about his uncle, and there's this mystery woman raising the stakes, right? I'll take it a little bit further. This is still the description. Gerald, his uncle, will do anything to prove to Henry that the throne never belonged to him. Who cares if he had just returned home from overseas? Secrets are unveiled. A betrayal is inevitable. A war is imminent as these two battle for the throne. But will Henry be able to claim his rightful position as King of Camelot while also claiming his heart? Right? So that's obviously the thing that you have to know about a description is that a description is not perfect at first, just like the rest of your book, right? Where you have to write the first draft, second draft, and even maybe the third draft, and you start doing editing. The blurb of your book is kind of similar because you can always go back and change it. That's why I think that a lot of times, I've seen where authors they don't write the blurb of their book first. They kind of go into the story first, write the plot, and do the first draft, the second draft. Maybe just get done with the book first. So they kind of go into the book, write all the story, the plot, and everything before drafting the blurb. And some authors start with a nice blurb and then use that to write the story. They use that as a guide to write the story. So it really doesn't matter. There's no one way to do it. I have done both. But what you need to know is that a blurb can change, right? A writer can start with a blurb and then they run the story and then the story takes them into a different direction and then they go back to adjust. They go back to change the blurb, right? So it just kind of just see what works for you. But now I've given you a log line that you can use to write your blurb, okay? Now I want to mention before I go a little further, I want to mention this, that if you are serious about taking your book to the next level, if you need help with your manuscript, I do offer manuscript critique and evaluation, and I offer editing. I also help with ghostwriting, like I mentioned earlier. And so if this is something that you're interested in, you can click the link in the description box below for my services, my editing services and ghostwriting services. If you need someone to write your book, I offer that as well. So click the link in the description box below for that. Or you can just comment down below, I'm serious, and I will send you the direct link to my services page, my website, where you can go check it out, read up on it, and just see what fits your category or what you need help with, and we can go from there. Okay, and so just make sure that you comment down below, I'm serious, and I will send you the direct link where you can go check out my services and just see what you need help with. Okay. And so before we end this video, I just want to, just touch a little bit more on, as far as the blurb, okay? And just to kind of reiterate what I've been talking about, to craft, a compelling blurb, you want to make sure that you keep two things in mind. Put yourself in the reader's mind, okay? As a reader, what do you want to see? What's going to entice you to read this book? What's going to entice you to click on that buy button and buy that book or download that book, okay? And then put yourself as a writer in a writer's mind. Think about a log line for that, right? A log line is a 1 to 2 sentence that pretty much summarizes your book, but it has a protagonist, the stakes of the conflict, and then the end result, okay? So think about a log line and then use that log line to craft your blurb, okay? By just putting up the layers and just expanding on it and making sure that you keep the protagonist in mind, keep the conflict in mind, and sort of at the end, kind of, what the end result is, right? But sort of ask it as a question, right? Write it in such a way that will make the reader wonder what's going to happen at the end of this book. I have to read this book, okay? And you can always go back and rewatch this video if you want to, kind of look at listen to the example that I gave. And just to kind of come up with your ways. And and again, this thing takes practice. You can practice your blurb over and over again. You can write and rewrite. You can kind of pause it and just go into writing your book and just start writing your book, start plotting your book, and later on come back to your blurb and use what you've written to form your blurb. Okay, so it's just different ways that you can kind of think about it. Okay, so don't be intimidated by that. Just have fun. Coming up with different blurbs and just coming up with something that would make you want to keep writing, want to write that story. But just keep these things that I've mentioned in mind. Okay, so guys, that's it for this video. If this video was helpful, give this video a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell if you're not subscribed, so you do not miss out on any of my videos. I post videos every week, and so you don't want to miss out any of my videos. And don't forget, guys, if you're interested in that free checklist, make sure that you check the description box below, or you comment down below checklist please, and I will send you the direct link where you can go download your free checklist to writing and publishing your book. And if you're serious and want to take your book, your manuscript, your story to the next level, I offer services like ghostwriting, editing, manuscripts critique. So let me know in the comment section as well. Comment down below, I'm serious, and I will send you the direct link where you can go check out my services and just see what you need and what you need help with, and we'll go from there. Okay, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. Keep writing, guys, and keep believing. Bye, guys.